my dear Bagginses and Boffins.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are going to be looking at the Vanity Fair article posted February 14th, which is a direct response to many burning questions that people had after seeing the Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power trailer, or I would call it a teaser, debuting during the Super Bowl. And so this was a Q&A with Patrick McKay and J.D. Payne, the showrunners for the Rings of Power series from Amazon. And so the first topic of discussion, I should say, because there's multiple questions within each topic, is will it look like The Lord of the Rings? And I think this is important for a lot of fans. I mean, we've seen a lot of backlash about the aesthetics. Heck, we were a part of some of that backlash. So I think it's important to kind of see where their head's at in terms of, are they going for their own vision or their own visuals, or are they actually going to try to be playing off of Peter Jackson's original trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy in a way? And I think they give pretty good answers throughout this article, but they do kind of beat around the bush a little bit with some of this. It does appear like they are trying to do something a bit unique. They point out that for legal reasons, that this is not the same world as Peter Jackson's films. And so there are a certain elements to it that they actually cannot use. And I think this is part of, I don't know how much of it was up to Amazon to get those rights, or how much of it was the rights were not, either Peter Jackson or whoever owns the rights to the film visuals wasn't willing to give that up.
So that explains why the shards of Narsil look completely different.
Exactly. And so people have had issues with a lot of the designs, and even myself, I was critical of the armor designs, but we have to keep in mind that they can't just go and get the same armor that Peter Jackson used, even if they wanted to. I don't know if they want to, but even if they wanted to, they would not be allowed to use that same stuff. They have to make it slightly different. Now some designs, obviously, like just a worn, tattered clothing of a traveler, that's fine, right? Like you can't have a copyright on that. But in terms of the intricate details, so for example, Gimli's helmet, could that make an appearance here? Unlikely, because they would need the rights to that visual. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm not happy about that, to be honest. I would like Amazon to splurge some of that budget towards getting a couple of those props to make an appearance, right? Because for the fans of the original trilogy, I mean, that's what this billion-dollar franchise is built on. It would be nice to see some nods to the hard work that went into those costumes, and right, to the design of the swords and the armor and all that stuff. So, me personally, I'm actually not happy about this, but I don't know who's at fault here. I just want to point that out, that I really would like to see at least a little bit of overlap, but I would actually like to see a lot of overlap between the costumes, between the films and the TV show. What are your thoughts on it? Do you kind of care either way?
I'm just reading a quote here. Lord the Ring of Power costume designer Kate Hawley, who worked on Jackson's Hobbit films as well as Guillermo del Toro's lavish Crimson Peak, is creating Middle-earth fashions that existed thousands of years before Liv Tyler's Arwen draped herself in endless velvet. So that makes me think of Seinfeld.
Yeah, George Costanza should make an appearance in this. He could he could be one of the dwarves. And And I can say that because I'm about the same height as Jason Alexander, so that is not a joke at someone else's expense. I'm also short. um, yeah, so I did want to bring up that they do have some people that worked on the films. We have Kate Hawley there, and then we also have John Howe.
Yep.
So two people that worked with Peter Jackson on the original trilogy, and so we are going to get a similar style, but they can't use the same design. So I mean that's something, right? That's good. I like the fact that there will be some sort of continuity in terms of the materials and I'm guessing like the colors and just the drapery of it, but in terms of I would like to be able to look at a character, and as someone who has seen these movies hundreds of times, when I recognize a piece of clothing, that would actually do something for me. That would make me feel more welcome in this show than having everything be brand new. Even the elves, even if we go to Gondor or Rohan and see the completely different designs, to me it'd be a lot more welcoming for fans of the original trilogy to have some similarity there that isn't just a color or something. Like I would like to see specific pieces of the character's fashion that I can recognize in the movie and the show. So this is just a small thing, but to me it would be more welcoming, and I think fans would be a lot more willing to jump on board with some of the changes if they had some of these nods to the original trilogy presented to them. I think that's where a lot of the fan reaction regarding the posters comes into play, because we can't recognize any of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The universe this show wants to be in is Tolkien's. That's an umbrella over Peter's films and Led Zeppelin, John Howe's paintings, and the Hobbit cartoon. McKay says.
Yeah, so they're going from a big background here of different aesthetics. My hope is that the Peter Jackson films
I hope
are
they don't steal. I hope they don't steal the animation from that awful one.
no, that would be a crazy throwback.
Yeah. We all get headaches.
Oh, we would all get we would be dizzy and throwing up from from motion sickness. So that kind of brings us. I mean, clothing design's one thing, but it kind of then touches on how much CGI should we be expecting from this film. Shows and movies have been kind of going in the direction that I think a lot of us predicted. Right after the original trilogy, we saw a huge explosion of CGI, and fans didn't like that as much. We do want to see people behind there. Like we can tell, especially bad CGI, you can tell, and so it's way more inviting, and it just it makes you get immersed in the movie or show more if it's real people in good practical effects and costumes. And so this is a big question that I've had, because the trailer looked like a lot of that was CGI, right? So I was hoping that there wouldn't be as much CGI. The trailer showed a lot, and so I'm hoping that they can clear this up a little bit. And for the most part, it does seem like they are aware that audiences do prefer the live action, real world locations, practical effects. They even in this article mentioned that was the divide in fans quite a bit between the original trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy. Was the orcs and goblins became CGI in the Hobbit trilogy, and
Right,
those
but that also, I feel like in the Jackson world, that creates a slight continuity problem.
it does.
If they're going in a completely, like, we have nothing to do with that universe, fresh, maybe it's more acceptable.
True.
No.
You're right. You're right. Because they technically don't have the rights to the Peter Jackson films, they have no obligation to make a bridge connecting this to that. I hope they do. Just I hope they are able to throw in something to do that, because that's what I want out of this as a fan, as a huge fan of the original trilogy. That is, I want that. I think it is required. But
It does feel like a problem in The Hobbit, because you have these cartoony goblins singing about Goblin Town.
exactly.
The goblins in Moria are terrifying.
Yeah. No, exactly. And
Insects
I
are-
actually have
they're more insect-like, and they're
yeah, exactly. And I think, an explanation for that. I kind of want to do an entire video on it, which is essentially that because the original trilogy and The Hobbit are actually adaptations of books that were supposedly written by in-world characters like Bilbo and Frodo, I think it's about their storytelling technique. Bilbo makes things a bit more over the top in his storytelling, and Frodo, believing every word of Bilbo's tale, writes his exactly as it happened according to him, and so you have a much more realistic style of an adventure. That's my quick take on it, but I have a lot more. I kind of want to do a whole video on it sometime, but yeah, I agree. I think if you're not kind of doing what I'm doing, which is going deeper into the movies than what they are, on the face of it, if you watch The Hobbit and then the trilogy, and you're trying to figure out, is this the prequel, it doesn't seem like it's the same thing. It seems completely different. But yeah, so I am glad that they are aware of the limitations of visual effects. And so they do claim that a lot of the orcs will be guys in suits and not CGI, which I think is really important. So in that battle scene in the trailer, you could see a lot of the people up close as being people in suits, but it looks like that is the direction that they're taking it. And it also, they did want to go into real world locations, but sometimes the ability to film in those locations limited how much time they could spend there. But then they would take those areas and bring them back and try to build sets that match them. So to me, that is a really good answer. I really like that. That's very similar to how Peter Jackson did it. It was not all on location. There was a lot of sets with Peter Jackson, even in the original trilogy. Just go watch those behind the scenes things. Heck, watch the commentary. I was watching the commentary of Fellowships the other day, and they were talking about right in front of the door when you enter into Bilbo's house. Inside is a set, and then outside is a different set. It's not even outside. And so it's just crazy that instead of building out a set that had both, they were literally going from one set and then a month later filming the next part of that same scene in another set. And none of it was outside. So there's a lot of sets in the original trilogy, and I think that really helps, not just having a CGI background. So anything else to add on the CGI? I mean, I think they answered this one pretty decisively, and I'm happy with it.
Yep, me too.
Although I will say the trailer has a lot of CGI, it seems. So I'm not a fan of the trailer. Like, if all we have to go on is the trailer, that's what scared a lot of people.
I regret to announce this is the end. I bid you all a very fond farewell.